This segment sponsored by Foster Financial. Welcome to Women's Wealth Wednesday, where each week we give you vital information on how you can have financial success. And joining me today is Caleb Doane, the Vice President of Foster Financial. Hi, Caleb.
Hi.
Good to see you again.
You as well.
So we're continuing this conversation. So last Women's Wealth Wednesday, we were discussing how women are super charitable, of course, but how they can have different tax advantages from their giving. So we discussed the stocks, but today we're going to talk about something different. Qualified Charitable Donations. Whew, you have to tell us all about that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I know we talked about how, most studies tend to show that women are a little bit more charitable minded than men. So I thought it'd be a good thing to kind of focus on. And, right now the tax deadline is coming up here too. So a lot of people are kind of focused on taxes. And I think there's kind of this misconception out there that, if I don't donate enough to itemize my donations on my taxes, if instead I just take the standard deduction, then I don't really get any tax advantages from the donations that I do.
Right.
And that's not necessarily the case. And so, we talked last week about how, if people are donating appreciated stock, that's one way that they can get a tax advantage. And today's kind of tax advantage, like you said, is with these QCDs, or Qualified Charitable Distributions or Donations. And these actually apply to people who are over the age of 70 and a half and have pre-tax retirement accounts, like a 401k or IRA. And so it's certainly a good strategy for people to leverage.
Okay, so but it is specific to that age.
Yep.
Okay, and do they have to have a specific retirement account to do that, or is it not related to retirement at all?
Yeah, so as long as they have a pre-tax retirement account, whether it's a 401k, 403b, IRA, or whatever it is, they'll be able to leverage these QCDs. And, a lot of times, this is something that we apply to people who are already donating, but they're just not getting the full tax advantage that they could otherwise be getting if they were using QCDs. And what QCDs allow you to do is that typically when people withdraw money from their retirement accounts, they actually have to pay ordinary income tax when they withdraw that money.
Right.
But if instead that money just goes directly to, their church or a nonprofit organization, they don't have to pay any income tax at all. And so, if somebody, especially if people are in, a high tax bracket, it can save them a lot in taxes.
So is that kind of like a middleman account? Does the money physically move from your retirement account into a QCD and then your QCD to your giving institution?
Good question. So it's actually a little bit of like cutting the middleman out, a little bit.
Okay.
So, for example, let's say, there's a lady out there, she's, 75 years old. She has, Social Security, maybe a little bit of a pension, but that doesn't quite cover what her typical, annual needs are. And so she typically withdraws, let's say, $10,000 from her IRA. And let's also say, she's a faithful giver at her church, and she typically donates about, $10,000 a year to her church. Well, at the end of the year, the $10,000 that she donated to her church wouldn't have been enough for her to take or for her to itemize on her taxes.
Right.
And so she would just take the standard deduction and think, hey, I didn't really get much benefit, tax-wise from that. And she would also have to pay ordinary income taxes on the $10,000 that she withdrew from her IRA to supplement her income. And so, if she was in the 22% tax bracket, she would have to pay $2,200. However, if, the next year, instead of taking that, money from the IRA, putting it in her checking account, and then writing checks to her church from her bank, instead, what we do with clients, we actually give them a checkbook to their IRA. And then they can write checks directly to the church from their IRA. And then that way, at the end of the year, she still gets to take the standard deduction, but that $10,000 that came out of her IRA is no longer taxable. And so it saves her, $2,200 in taxes every single year for her retirement. And so, if I see people who are over the age of 70 and a half in retirement, who are donating from their checking account, part of me, I just say, oh my, you're leaving money on the table, you're paying too much in taxes, and so it's a good strategy for people to use.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you can actually take that deduction straight from that account, that IRAs have checks that you can use, and kind of what we discussed the last time with the stocks even, that you can literally there's a path from stock to giving.
Right.
So that's really cool and interesting. And are there any specific qualifiers that that one has to consider, though, when it comes to a QCD? Is it something that they can go into their bank to open up, or do they go through their financial advisor?
Yeah. Typically, people will go through their financial advisor.
Okay.
So, if people have, an IRA at Charles Schwab or TD Ameritrade or Fidelity, typically all of these companies can help with that. And so, what we do with our clients, we use TD Ameritrade. And so we're able to give them that checkbook to their IRA. They're able to write checks just like they normally do, and then, experience those tax savings.
So is there a better path? We talked about different options to be able to save on your taxes. So the stock route directly from your IRA, if people have both as resources, how would they make that decision?
That's a good question. Yeah, typically it depends on a lot of factors. It also depends on, what's going to happen to the money when this person passes away, how the money's going to be inherited. It depends on the tax bracket of the people who are inheriting the money. And so, that's one of the pieces of being a holistic financial advisor is that, everyone is going to have a slightly different scenario that saves them the most in taxes.
Right.
And so we're able to consider all those things and help people make the right decision.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Caleb. I appreciate it. And as you can see, there are so many reasons why you need a financial advisor to help navigate you through hard times, economic changes, and so much more. You can contact Foster Financial. We'll have their information listed below, and we'll be right back. This segment sponsored by Foster Financial.